Hi, this is Shannon Port. Welcome to the Art of the Feminine podcast. The title for our podcast today, this is the first Art of the Feminine podcast in 2018. And our title today, we have two things going on in this particular podcast. We're going to talk about the super blue blood moon total lunar eclipse in Leo. And we're going to also talk about the archetypes of 2018. And so I'm combining these two because I wanted to get the archetypes of 2018 in while it's still January. The archetypes, we're going to be discussing the powerful energies that are present in this year. And we're going to tie them into the eclipses and talk about how we're seeing them play out right now in the world. And so there's so much to talk about, and it's so good to be here. This is my first video of 2018, and so Happy New Year for those of you who I haven't seen in a while or had interactions with since the last time I was on YouTube, which it's been a while. It's been since November, but it's good to be back. There's a lot to talk about. The title of the video is Your Secret Power in 2018. Your secret power. And that ties into the Leo lunar eclipse that we're having. The eclipse is actually happening tomorrow, but the energies that we are going to discuss are valid for the rest of the year. And so if you're catching this, I'm doing the video fairly close to the actual eclipse. We have another eclipse coming in 2 weeks in Aquarius. But if you're catching this right after it happened, there'll still be lots of valuable information about this year and about 2018. And so there was something else I wanted to say before we get started. And let me just see, what was that? It'll come to me. So we'll jump right into the eclipse. I know what I wanted to say. There is so much happening right now. And so we are living in times, and as we will discuss as we get started with the energies of the eclipse and the archetypes, we are living in fast times. And things have been changing rapidly for the past decade or so, but things right now are so sped up that it's not even hour to hour. It truly is minute to minute that we're seeing the shift in consciousness unfold on this planet. It's astounding how quickly this is happening, and we're in it now. And so I just want to say that this information is really about it's about anchoring into the heart and really knowing, especially with Leo. We'll talk about Leo being the center and the sun, and knowing who you are and knowing what you love and knowing what's important to you, because that is what is going to help all of us to move through this stage that we're in, because it doesn't look like it's going to calm down anytime soon. And I don't mean to be negative in saying that, but there's so many changes to be made, and there's fireworks going off everywhere you look. And so we'll first start by talking about the this full super blue moon lunar eclipse in Leo. And so the eclipse is happening on January 31st. It's happening at 11 degrees Leo. It's going to take place at where I am, 8:27 a.m. On the East Coast of North America. And the eclipse is the moon is going to conjunct the dwarf planet Ceres. And so Ceres, we see right away, is connected with the energies of the mother and the energies of the feminine and how she nurtures her children. And so we can connect Ceres to planet Earth and everything that we see happening on planet Earth, but also strongly connected with the story that's unfolding with women right now and with children. And it includes men as well, but there's a strong theme coming in about how we mother and how we mothering for both men and women, but how we take care of our children and how our children are guarded, fed, protected, loved, nurtured, and educated, how we share wisdom with our children, and all of that. So that's the first thing I wanted to point out. Um, I also want to talk about the archetype of Leo. And so Leo is key 8 in the archetypes. It's strength. It's a strength that we can all use right now, but it's a strength that we all have. We all have this strength within us. This is our secret power. The esoteric meaning of Leo. Leo's a very, very, very potent energy in alchemy. This alchemy that we're doing in 2018, it's about a reorganization of our physical body and of everything we see in 3D, of the elemental energies. It's about a new organization of those energies and those elements as they also relate to the organization of our subconscious mind, of our own underbelly, of our own dark. And so when we go through that process, it's a spiritual process, it's a rebirth process. That process is it's facilitated by certain archetypes. Strength is one of those. Strength is Leo, and Leo represents our emotional body. It also represents how we are influenced by what we love, because and how our emotions um, determine how we use our power, how we how our power is used by forces outside of us. It determines our complete path of unfoldment. Human beings are unique in that we have an emotional capacity that is, well, first of all, we haven't even begun to tap our emotional capacity yet. We're learning like our child emotions right now. We're getting through our child emotions. We're healing those emotions, and we're learning how to reorganize them so that we can call upon the higher emotions, because it's the higher emotions of the true human being that make us such a powerful part of this cosmos that we exist upon, that we exist in. We as human beings with the power of our heart are able to unite and able to create in ways that we're only just beginning to realize. All of us are artists, all of us are creators. Leo is the sign of theater, it's the sign of the actor, it's the sign of the stage of life. And there's an emphasis on it's a sign of the sun. There's an emphasis on all of us knowing that we each have a really powerful role to play, but knowing how to understanding the depth of our emotions and what they can do and what they can create is a huge part of the shift in consciousness that human beings are going through right now. And so I have a lot of notes for today. I haven't had a chance to really go through them. So today I'm gonna kind of be just picking up and reading some of my own notes to get me going on what exactly I want to talk about. So Leo also is the child. And so we mentioned that the moon is conjunct Ceres. It's the child, and it's our inner child, and it's the power of that child, and how that child is healed and how that child is birthed so that it becomes as we birth our own inner child and give it a new life, it becomes our ascended self. That inner child is our ascended self when it's rebirthed. And so I'm going to talk about, we also have Jupiter and Scorpio. We've talked about this in previous videos, but Jupiter and Scorpio is about deep spiritual healing. A deep spiritual healing, and we're going to talk about that when we talk about 2018. It's the theme of the year. Also, deep sexual alchemy. We go into the inferno of the underworld in Scorpio, and where the power of our sexuality lies, and we go into it, and we turn it around, and we face what's in there. We look at what's in there. We look at what we've created, and we reveal what needs to be revealed. And so this is a year about revealing what has existed in the collective underbelly of humanity at this time. We're seeing that happen. We're seeing all kinds of things. We talked about that. We did the video just before the huge movement started to happen, where there's all kinds of things being revealed. That's only the tip too. And one thing to know is not to get totally caught up in the wanting to take everyone out and take everyone down and wanting to point the finger, because this process that's happening involves all of us. We're in this collective. Our underbelly is one. And so even though we need to see things that have been done, things that have been hidden, we have to be able to understand the bigger picture, because it's a long process that we're just entering into, and it's going to keep going. It's going to keep unfolding as this year goes on. All right, so the message for this eclipse, let's see. There's not the alignments I really want to focus on are, let's see, we've got the sun in Aquarius, we've got the moon in Leo. We've got the moon conjunct Ceres. We've got Jupiter in Scorpio. We've got Saturn now in Capricorn. We've got Pluto still in Capricorn. That's very powerful, and we'll talk about that as we go on. We've also have Uranus still in Aries. We also have and moving into Taurus, which is huge with what we're going to talk about in 2018. Oh, what was the last thing I was going to say? Oh, it'll come back. All right. So I want to talk about the message for the eclipse, because this eclipse, the axis of the eclipse is Leo and Aquarius. There's a lot of 8 energy, and so I just want to mention that right from the beginning. 8 is the number of strength. 8 is Leo. 8 represents infinity. 8 represents one of our higher chakra. 8 is the number of the heart. It's our higher heart chakra. 8 is the number of the higher emotional body. And so when we think of Leo, we think of drama and the dramatics of emotions, but there's a higher emotional body that's represented in this archetype that's huge. When we look at Aquarius, we're looking at the star. The star is key 17, and 17 is 1 plus 7, which is an 8. So both of those archetypes, Leo and Aquarius, are 8 energy. That 8 energy is going to play into hugely the energy of 2018. 8 is the heart. So remember that 8 is the heart. 8 is also strength. 8 is also it's also Saturn. And so all of these, through the law of correspondence, all of these things work together. All right. So this year, with this strong Leo axis, as we're entering into the age of Aquarius and the year 2018. And by the way, the energy is so different this year, and I can feel it. I'm curious to know if any of you can feel it, and I'd love to hear about it. You can leave it in the comments after this, after the live part is over. But the energy has just changed. It's so different. It's already like, I mean, the veil is sometimes I think it's already dissolved. The reality is starting to morph, and it's starting to not be as solid. And things that are deceptive almost like begin to take on that phantom form. To ground ourselves at this time of shift, when things are moving in that direction and when things are starting to get a little bit uncertain, where the fields are changing and we're getting the collapse of timelines that we've created are collapsing into this one, where it's like we're magnetizing them all together. It can throw us off a little bit. And so anchoring into your heart, which is Leo, is so powerful. The message is that this year is going to be a huge year for forgiveness. And that means it's a year where we're forgiving ourselves, but we're also forgiving each other. It's so important to understand, and I'm going to be using words that are very common in spirituality, but the depth of them is so much more than we've been able to unpack as human beings so far. This is the true Christic forgiveness. We are going to see so many things that change the paradigm quickly, that it's going to be necessary to be able to access that power that can forgive. And forgive doesn't just mean letting someone off the hook. Forgive means it's the churning of energy within us that allows the new to be birthed so that we can release the old bondage. So there's a lot of people that have been under a lot of control, and there's a lot of mind control on the planet. So we've all done things that we're not proud of. And there's a whole scale, a whole range of things that we're talking about here, from just the small things and just the very human things to the horrific things. Um, um, it's going to need forgiveness. This is going to be a year to truly feel the depth of who we are. Again, human beings and our emotional body are our true power. When we understand what it means to feel something, meaning to feel, and when we understand what happens on the subatomic level, on the cellular level, when we connect with our heart to other human beings, to nature, to ourself, even to the experience in time, time begins to stand still, and the truth begins to, it gives us the truth space to be birthed. Feeling is the power of our divine feminine force. And so the feeling has been manipulated because of so many energies that are in the world that are constantly pulling at us and constantly getting us to choose between two gods, the god of materialism, or the god of power, materialism, and greed, or the inner god, which is the god of everything. Our inner god is the creator of absolutely everything. When we identify with that part of who we are, nothing's bad anymore. There's the fight between good and evil actually begins to dissolve, and we begin to see beyond duality and beyond polarity. And that is what this year is about. So much is going to dissolve and get really, when we talk about 2018 in a couple minutes here, you'll see what I'm talking about. So it's a year to feel. There's many teachings out there right now. There's been many distortions, many manipulations. Many of our religions, many of our texts, many of our mystery schools, there's been so much manipulation. However, instead of getting so wrapped up in which one's right, which one's not right, follow your heart, be present, love where you are, listen, and take the higher path in everything you do. It doesn't matter if you're in a religion that's been manipulated. It doesn't matter if you read the wrong version of the tree of life. It doesn't matter. As long as you are open to a fluid understanding of what truth is, because those who open their heart will always find the truth. I'm not just talking about loving, because a lot of people who love get manipulated. Our love at the human level can be manipulated. It's like that. This is what I heard right before this session, is that a lot of people have power, even spiritual power, great power, financial power, power of accomplishments, power of mastery, um, power over other people, control over the earth. A lot of those people who have power do not have love. They don't know what love is. They have great power, and that's something to be respected. And there's intellectual things going on, and there's the everyday human life that gets us by and that stimulates our pleasure factors. But real love, the kind of love that can actually process what it means to change the reality that we're in now to something greater that serves that serves others as well as ourselves. There's still challenges. There's still the potential for some people to be great and some people to have to try really hard. I mean, it's not going to all even out. It's not meant to even out. However, there's a hugely greater potential that we're meant to know. And then there's a lot of people who have love and who really, they know how to love. We know how to love. But for some reason, we've been cut off from power. And so there's a huge amount of people that have no problem being in a relationship, that have no problem loving, that have no problem knowing that we need to change things on this earth, but can't seem to get the power to do it. There's a couple different reasons for that. One reason is that there have been, in this energetic field that we're in, it favors the dark at this moment in time. It's already shifted, but just to bring in a higher understanding, if you're playing by some of the rules that access the darker energies, there's almost like a little bit of a favoritism, but it's already changed. It's already shifted because we're coming into a new balance. However, there have been real limitations on certain people, and not because of being a failure, but also some of these limitations were set up by our souls. We knew that we would face these limitations. We knew it. We came into it knowing that even though we were going to be connected to the light, we were going to know what was going on. We would have to face our own dark, and then we would have to come into our power. And that is what we're doing right now. We're merging, we're bringing love and power together. That's true wisdom. When you can love, but when you can also get things done and make a difference in the world in a real way, where you don't have to feel like a victim, when you don't have to feel like everyone's done you wrong or something, when you can love powerfully, but also know that you are power itself, then you can really act from wisdom. We can all act from wisdom. We're really marrying the trinity of those three, the three eights that we're going to be talking about. We can love the dark. There's going to be a lot of dark revealed this year, especially with this eclipse. These eclipses that are coming in are going to move a lot of it front and center for the masses to see. We can love the dark. We just have to see it from a higher vantage point. We can love the dark without sacrificing ourselves, meaning there's a lot of misunderstanding about loving the dark. We need to love the dark within ourselves so that we can bring it to a new place. But there's been a victim consciousness on our planet where we've learned to love our abusers. There's a name for it. It's called Stockholm Syndrome. That even Stockholm Syndrome doesn't cover um, the whole spectrum of what this has involved. But in a deep subconscious way, humanity has learned to love the very force that is exploiting it, controlling it, abusing it. In some ways, we've learned to bow to that force. And so we're sorting this out right now. This is the year of 2018 is the year of reorganization. We're sorting these things out. Our secret power is knowing how to be able to feel deeply. It's the emotional body. And knowing how to run our emotions, how to bring in the higher emotions that have been just out of our reach. The higher emotions awaken a whole new level of consciousness. They trump the lower emotions. The lower emotions will be pulled up into them, and we will understand what it means to walk this earth with such powerful feeling. Even if we get angry, it'll be in a different level. It'll be a higher kind of anger that brings results, that shifts things, that allows us to get out what we're feeling, and that immediately starts to call forth a reorganization of the elements. So it's important to get out of the fear and the judgment. It's important to there's a lot of suspicion because of these energies right now. And even some of the energies at the eclipse, the moon is quincunx Neptune, which is a serious alignment for bringing in the suspicious and what's hidden in the underbelly. And so it's already started. We all know that is by many alignments we've had, but we're in that right now. We're in that. We are seeing things that we have not seen before in the mainstream being revealed. So So yeah, so loving going back to the Stockholm syndrome, it's important to know that yeah, everyone, all beings are from the goddess. All beings have been birthed by the feminine, and all beings are part of our consciousness. But we have to sort out where the evil came in and took control and pulled us away from the light and the life force, so much so that we completely forgot that we have that ability um, to create. Leo is about creating. And so, where to go from here? There's a lot to say. Oh yes, boundaries are okay. It's good to have. We even though we're going to be in these higher emotions, boundaries are okay. We need boundaries. Um, we all need. Oh, I want to say this. This is really important. We all need space to develop. We all have to have. We have to have boundaries. We have to have our office, our home. We have to have a place to call our own, where we can sort our stuff out, where we can eat the food we want to eat, where we can practice the spiritual practices we want to practice, where we can raise our children in the way that we feel is best at that time, where we can, where we can experience our own tribal energies, because we're human beings are tribal. And so we need to be able to, I really want to talk about this actually just for a moment. This has so much to do with Leo. We need to be able to understand our own philosophies before we just flood in everything else. Right now, one of the tactics is to break down our ability to actually have our own space. I mean, we see this happening on the world stage in ways that it's so political, it's hard to break it down in this small amount of time. But when there's a time for boundaries. We are all citizens of this earth, but we have to be careful about how we see things um, when it comes to just handing over some of the things that we are working for to develop right now. We each have to be able to have the space to develop and cultivate and come to our understandings. We also need to be able to respect everyone while we're doing it. But there's issues with boundaries right now. And so when we're learning what boundaries are and I always say this, in our human body, our organs have boundaries. They're not all mushed together. In order to function properly, there's membranes and there's space so that they can work in harmony and be a body where each collective part is part of the one but gets to do what it's best at. And so I'll leave it there. It's something to meditate on though. um we're we're sovereign beings. We're meant to be sovereign. Leo is about being sovereign. All right. So, so now I'm going to go into a little bit. Leo's also about lust. So the lust theme, and I've talked about it in so many other videos that are on this channel. But lust is something we're working out right now. Has a lot to do with the work that I've done over the past few years. Understanding lust is about which master we serve and how we use our energy. We could go on and on and on. This year in 2018 is going to be an ongoing discussion about lust because it's so tied into 18. 18 is the misuse of sexual energy, and it's the complete loss of control and the misunderstanding of who we are as sexual beings. We're constantly, in everything we do, we're choosing what we bow to. There's a center path that honors both, but a lot of sorting this out is about understanding that. So I want to talk a little bit about the theater of life as represented by Leo, because it's a Leo lunar eclipse. And so what we're seeing is all of these energies vying for our attention, all of these energies that have its secret power is the law of suggestion. And Leo is the law of suggestion. And Leo represents theater, drama, movies, um, the things that we see that tell a story and that affect our heart. This affects our emotional body and how we use our emotions. And that's why a great film is like, there's nothing like it. Something that moves you. In fact, a great film can evolve us lifetimes. If a true work of art in film and in all the arts, that's why art is so powerful. And art is the theme of this year, because real art, it is profound. It changes us. Real art. There's real art real art, art that joins heaven and earth, art that awakens the human spirit. And it's going to be different for all of us, but art that moves us to know, to have gnosis, to know. That is, it's huge. So there's a lot of there's in with social media, with entertainment, the whole entertainment industry across the board. There's all kinds of things happening. I've gone into it so many times. Just know that that's Leo. We're working that out because we're trying to understand how we want to use that going forward and what's been done. So much of the abuse is coming through on these platforms. And so I invite you to, if you're interested in that, sort it out on your own. There's going to be a lot more energy coming in the videos I do in 2018 around this, but there's going to be some real sorting out for humanity on what has happened. All right. So I think I'm going to, I know what I wanted to say. I wanted to say this. I was an actor, and when I was studying at university, one of the programs I did, which was this tied in with a graduate program, we had an actor from LA come and speak to us. So we were always having people come and talk to us. But I'll never forget this. And I wanted to say this because I thought it really ties into this theme of the law of suggestion and Leo and that power of Hollywood. We had a man come. I'm not going to say who it was, but he was very, very successful, famous, the whole everything. He had gone from television to film and was huge. And he had actually studied, I believe, at the university I was at. So he came back to talk to us. And of course, at any time that happened, you get a room full of young actors that are so eager, and they're just like, what's it all about? How did you do it? What's the secret? How are you so good and so well known? And how did you get plugged in? And I will never forget this. He said, Hollywood is a machine. It has such great power. And he said, when you get plugged in to that machine, you become superhuman. He said, each one of you are no different. And he had watched our work and done scene work with us, the whole thing. And so he said, every single person here could get plugged in and be bigger than life overnight if they want to make you bigger than life overnight. It's such a force. It's so much power. I mean, he was going on about that. Nobody really got it. I remember the actors were just like, yeah, but you work so hard, but you're trained in your craft. You know what it's all about. You're good, and only the best rise to the top. And he was like, I just got to say, they can plug you in and they can unplug you whenever they want to. And even if you're good, you might not survive if you get unplugged. And it's like that with everything. He wasn't trying to be negative about it, but he was just describing, this was years ago, the power of the projection and the momentum behind it. And I know just from the studying I did in acting and all over the country and the world, knowing that the people I saw, the talent I've seen in small places, in small theaters, in off Broadway in New York City, I've seen so many talented people that nobody will ever know their name, that I know that's true. And that's what we want to talk about, because this year we are remembering that there's a seed of greatness in all of us. Some people might not get a chance this time around to express their seed, and that's okay. But many, many more than are realizing it have seeds of greatness. And there's room for everybody. That's the greatest part of this message, is that we create a universe around us when we actualize who we are. But we also have to remember, because of what we're dealing with right now, is the power of projection and the power of politics, music, the film industry, the fashion industry, business, banking, all of it. These are all platforms that have a similar kind of thing. And we take it in, we take it in, and we take it in, and we take it in. And sometimes we forget what story we're telling. We forget that we didn't even originate that story. The story that we're playing and repeating didn't even come from within us. And so I'll leave it on that. I'm going to try to just really quickly get through some of the archetypes of 2018. So just take a little breath here, and I'm going to give you the archetypes. There's 3 of them that I'm going to touch upon, and I'm going to go quick because I don't want to make this video too long. We are in the 18th year, the 21st century. 18 is huge because every time we go, especially when we go through the first 22 years, we're going through the archetypes, and we are in 18. 18 is the moon. I'm going to give you the law of correspondence and what connects with the moon, but this is the 18th year, and we are seeing it. It's the reorganization. It's the underbelly of human consciousness. All of our dark, all of our secrets, everything is being worked out. That means there's a lot of delusion. There's a lot of illusions. There's a lot of insanity. You'll see as I go into the law of correspondence what 18 represents. But there's 2 ways we can approach this. There's always a light side and a dark side. The dark side is to lose control and go into escapism. And we're seeing it: more drugs, more checking out, more commercialism, more materialism, more sex, more everywhere we look, more of the let's call it 3D frequency and below. We're seeing a lot more of that. The other side of 18 is that 18 is profound creativity. 18 rules art. It rules because it's the depths of the subconscious mind. It is the ability to go in and birth those solar seeds that are within us, to give birth to greatness. This is a year where we're also going to be seeing a lot of people come into a new realization of what it is to birth a great work of art, or a great scientific discovery, or a great piece of writing, a great anything, a great part of who you are, because 18 is truly, it's high. It can be the highest of the highbrow creativity. And so, all right, I have to take a little sip here. Okay, we're going to look at the moon, key 18. We're going to look at the moon because it's the 18th year. We're going to look at justice because justice, the year is 11. We've already seen so much justice happening. And we're going to look at the emperor just quickly. All right. So I'm going to give just to understand what 18 is, I'm going to give some of the correspondences. 18 is the abyss. It's the lower astral. 18 is where we get the dark. The dark goods and the dark goodies, as well as the horrific nightmares. 18, think of your worst nightmare. That's 18. 18 represents dreams. It's the dream consciousness. It's illusions, disillusionment. We said that. 18 is the 12th house in astrology. It's Pisces. It's the 12th house. In that 12th house, it represents asylums. It represents hospitals, prisons, victimhood of all kind. It represents martyrs. It represents the artists. We just said that. Incredible creativity, poets, painters, writers, film, even film. The reason, okay, so just to tie this together, Leo is an 8. And so 18 is the 8 working through the 1. So there's a lot of themes that are in the Leo archetype that are in this 18. It is on the archetype, it's the dog and the wolf. The wolf represents the absolute untamed, wild, even the darkest of the dark and evil. Not that wolves are evil, God forbid we say that, but the archetype of the wolf is representing the all things wild, all things that just go and have no desire to be tamed in a certain sense. The dog represents the cultivation of, and there's another word, I was trying to remember what it is. I hope it comes to me, but the dog represents, and so we're not talking about modern times. We've got to think from the creative levels, the multi-layered levels when we're talking about these things. So not to go for stereotypes, but the dog represents the animal that's been cultivated, that still has that wild instinct, but that has the ability to harness the powers of the dark for good, meaning it's really what it's to represent is our own inner dark and light and what happens in alchemy. This is a number of alchemy. It's the number of the reorganization, the building of the light body. And I'm teaching light body yoga right now. I'm on the second week of a 7-week telecourse, and um, I teach a course about the light body. I've been teaching it for years, since 2003, and we are 18 is about reorganizing the elements in our body, the dark elements and the light elements, so we can build the greater consciousness vehicle that is our light body. And so yes. Okay. I might talk about that for a minute at the end too, if you're interested. And so it represents chaos. It represents war, aggression. When we're in at 18, we could see that just it because it is 8 + 1 is the 9, which is Mars. It can be the complete aggression into war or chaos. Chaos can be, now remember, we're saying that the out of the chaos is birth something. And so our intention is to birth something really powerful. 18 represents our enemies. It represents what's unseen. It represents manipulation. So it's all should be starting to like bring into understanding what's happening this year on our planet. It represents sexual violence and the underbelly, the misuse of sexuality. Because it's the moon, it represents children. So when you tie those two things together, the moon and the misuse of sexuality, we're getting ready to have huge revelations around something. I've been bringing this in throughout the past many years, since 5 years ago, since I started this podcast. But we're going to understand what level there's been abuse of children on our planet, sexually and satanically, and all of it. So it's underbelly of consciousness. What is hidden from you? It also represents total mind control. So if you think about it, 8 being the law of suggestion, 8 being the theater of life, 8 being Leo, the heart, the emotional body. When that is put into key 18, the 8 through the 1, it represents the inverted form of that, the potential to completely use emotions, things that trigger us on an emotional level, to bring about control. And so that's something to think about and explore if that speaks to you. Let's see what else. I think I said denial blocks. Okay, hospitals. Yeah, we said all of that. Okay, so with 18, I'll say a little bit more about 18, and then we'll I want to close this soon so that it goes through. Use creativity, use your art, use your intuition, and use your dreams. That's the message. Art, creativity, dreams. That's how to be a force of freaking nature in this time, this year, 2018. Create what you want to create. Just do it. Um, um, watch your dreams. Know when you're in the lower astral world and it's got you held, and learn how to work with those energies. You've got to get out of it. And so understanding how to astral travel and understanding what's really happening. There's so much in that work that we're going to break down over the next year. But understand dreaming and understand the inner realms and where the power is in those inner realms, and create. 18 is the number of the internet. www, it's 666. This is in the Chaldean, which is the high esoteric meaning. So the internet is ruled by 18. That tells you something right there, that it's creativity as well as dark. They're both there. We can use it how we decide to, but 18 is the number of the internet. 18 is also the number of Christ, of the Christ force. It's actually it's there's so much around this. I don't want to start getting into this too deeply right now, but the Christ consciousness is 18, and the actual word Christ is an 18, and so are many other powerful similar words. So it has mirror. It has the ability to mirror. It's huge. All right. So I'll talk about 11, justice, and then I'm going to close this It's funny. It's 444. I have to say a couple words about the emperor as well. So in the sacred archetypes, justice 11. This year 2018 is an 11. 11 is what masters 18. If you want to master 18, we have to have justice and we have to have balance and harmony. When you think about art, what makes good art? Harmony. There's a subconscious harmony and harmonizing and balance and alchemy that's being sent out. So 11, this is a year of the 11 archetype. 11 is huge. We had Jupiter through Libra in 2016 and part of 2017. Yes, before it entered Scorpio. And so Libra has been energized, rebooted. Libra energies of balance and justice are on. They've been activated. And so we're going to see a lot, especially now we have Saturn and Capricorn this year. We have meeting up with Pluto. So much going on. Capricorn is the patriarchy and institutions and the things the way they are, things as they are now. They're being reworked with Saturn going through Capricorn in the next year and a half, couple years. So that being said, we've talked so much about balance. There's many videos in the archives. Justice is very important. If you want to create, it's the still point. It's 0 point. Go into stillness. Justice gives you the now point. This is it. It gives you the now point so that you can access the energies of 18 in the underbelly and use them to create and not to be controlled or possessed. We want sovereignty. 8 is the number of sovereignty. We want sovereignty. And so we have to understand our dreams and we have to understand balance. When we look around, there's very few people that we see out there right now that really know what balance is. I mean, most of the world doesn't get that, but this is a time where develop it in yourself, because you will be called into a position that you may not have never dreamed of. This year is going to change everything, and it's not small changes, big changes. And so this is why it's really exciting and powerful to work with this. Remember, the emotional power of our human vessel is huge. All right, before I close, I just want to say that the emperor is the principle that works through justice and works through key 18. The emperor is Aries, but it's also Capricorn, because these are male energies. We are finding the true emperor is vision. It's the ability to build good structures. It's the ability, it's the Christ consciousness landing on earth and having a good experience in form. It's without forgetting the sun, the spirit within us. So the emperor this year is being reworked. So that's what we see happening. Remember not to get too caught up in the drama that's being played out with the negative agenda, because a lot of this stuff that's being staged is being staged. So follow your heart, see the truth in everything, feel it. Go to your deepest feeling emotions and act from that place. Act from the place of feeling your truth. And it doesn't matter if you make a mistake. It doesn't matter if you go to the wrong teaching or this or that. It's all going to be sorted out. We're going to know the truth in the end. And right now, getting too stuck in the intellect isn't going to serve us. Trying to figure out who's right, who's wrong, who's this, and obsessing over that, unless it's truly your calling, will just keep us in the intellect. We have to unlock the heart. We have to unlock the human heart. We're just starting. We're just starting, and the teachings for that are here. And so I want to say thank you. It's good to be back. I plan to do a lot of videos in 2018 because it's such an exciting, powerful, and creative year. Again, if you're interested in finding out more about this information, artofthefeminine.com is my website. Art of the Feminine Facebook page is a really cool Facebook page. It's my Facebook page, and there's 90,000 people on it. There's a good interactive community. And so I invite you to check that out. Also, if you are interested in any of the light body work, I put the link in the link for light body yoga is in this. Even though I've started the session and I'm 2 sessions in, everything's recorded. So if you're really interested, just contact me and maybe we can work something out. And so that being said, I really wish everyone a beautiful, beautiful year, a super powerful full moon lunar eclipse tomorrow. It's a blood moon, it's a blue moon, it's so many things. It's like it's huge. So, and stay in touch with me. Leave comments and let me know what's going on in your life, and that's it. I feel really excited to be here in this year. Even though it's really hard sometimes, it's worth it. It's good that we're here, and just find the love in your life and stick to it and be with it, and nurture your friends through hard times, because we're seeing a lot of loss, a lot of catastrophe. Just keep finding love, because when you love others, when you need it, they will gather around you, and there's always a time we all need love at certain points in our life. So that's it for now. I just want to say that I'm sending everyone huge blessings, and I'll see you soon.